Hey, welcome. Today, we're diving into something that affects all of us, but often stays hidden in the background: financial regulation. You can think of it as the invisible rulebook for our entire economy. Understanding these rules is absolutely essential if you want to know how our markets and our money are kept safe. So let's start with a really big question, right? What is actually stopping the whole financial system from just falling apart? We depend on it for everything, but what's the glue holding it all together? Well, the answer, for the most part, is this complex and carefully designed web of rules we call regulation. Okay, so first up, let's get into the real nature of financial markets. Because they are these incredible engines for growth, but they also carry some serious risks. They're a real double-edged sword. Now, here's the thing. On one hand, you absolutely need effective financial markets. They're what power economic development, create wealth, and help businesses grow. But on the other hand, pretty much every single financial transaction you can think of has some risk of losing money. It's this constant push and pull between opportunity and risk that makes the system so powerful, but also, potentially so fragile. This quote really just nails it. The entire system, all the buying, the selling, the investing, it's all built on one thing: trust. If people lose confidence in the markets, that whole foundation starts to shake, and that can have huge, damaging effects on everyday customers and the economy as a whole. So if the markets are naturally risky and they run on trust, how do we protect them? Well, that's exactly where the rules come in. This brings us right to the purpose of regulation: to build a safer financial world for everyone. So what exactly is financial regulation? It's not just one thing. It's really a whole package of rules and standards that lay out how firms are supposed to behave. It's all about making sure customers are treated fairly, that conflicts of interest are handled properly, and, at the end of the day, that investors and the general public are protected from harm. And what's the end goal of all this? Well, it boils down to these 5 key benefits. First, it's about building up that confidence and trust we were just talking about. When you have that, you create a stable playing field where the economy can actually grow. It also helps lower the risk of those huge market meltdowns, gives better protection to consumers like you and me, and makes it way harder for criminals to game the system. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Not all rules are written the same way. There are basically 2 big philosophies on how to do this, and you can think of it as the difference between giving someone a super detailed rulebook versus giving them a compass. All right, let's break this down. On one side, you have the rules-based approach. This is like a giant instruction manual with a rule for everything. The big advantage? Certainty. Everyone knows exactly what to do. The problem? It's not very flexible, and it can create a tick-box culture where firms just focus on following the letter of the law, not the spirit. Then on the other side, you've got the principles-based approach. This is the compass. It sets a high-level goal, like treat customers fairly, and then trust firms to figure out how to get there. It's super flexible, which is great for new and changing markets, but the downside is that it can be a bit vague. Of course, in the real world, it's rarely so black and white. Most countries actually use a mix of both, a hybrid approach, to get the certainty of rules and the flexibility of principles. This often involves something called a self-regulatory organization, or SRO. That's basically where the industry itself gets to regulate its own players, but always with the government looking over their shoulder to make sure they're doing a good job. Think of FINRA in the US. That's a classic example. Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. Money, as we all know, does not stop at the border. Finance is a totally global game now, and that means the regulators, the referees, they have to be global too. I mean, think about it. Markets are so interconnected today that a problem in one corner of the world can spread like wildfire. That's why having regulators from different countries talking to each other and agreeing on common standards isn't just a nice idea, it is absolutely essential to keep the whole global system from getting shaky. So, who are these global players? First up, you've got the Bank for International Settlements, the BIS. The easiest way to think of them is as the central bank for all the other central banks. They're based in Switzerland, and their main gig is to promote financial stability and help create global standards, like rules for how much cash banks need to keep on hand to stay safe. Next on the list is the Financial Stability Board, or FSB, and their name pretty much tells you exactly what they do. They are the world's financial watchdog. They're constantly scanning the horizon, looking for new risks or weak spots in the system, and then they make recommendations on how to fix them before they blow up. And finally, there's IOSCO. This is basically the international club where all the world's market regulators, like the SEC in America, come together. They have 3 main goals: protect investors, make sure markets are fair and open, and reduce the kind of big, systemic risks that could threaten everybody. Okay, we've gone through a lot of big ideas and thrown a few acronyms your way. But let's bring this all back down to earth. What does this whole system, the rules, the global committees, what does it actually mean for you and for your money? And here's the bottom line. This entire complicated global framework of rules and oversight, it's really designed to do just one simple thing: make the financial system safer and more trustworthy for every single one of us. So let's get specific. Regulation is there to protect your savings and your investments. It's there to make sure that the financial advice you get is actually right for your situation. It helps keep the whole economy that you work and live in stable. And it puts up roadblocks to stop criminals from finding ways to exploit you and your money. And all of this leaves us with one last really important thought. Regulation is always playing catch-up. As markets change and new technologies like AI and crypto come onto the scene, the rulebook has to change too. So the huge question we're all facing is this: are the rules we designed for yesterday's world going to be enough to handle the completely new risks of tomorrow? It's something we'll all have to figure out.